finished a new master's degree in London. I worked hard. I had my doubts. I worried. We scraped by. Just. But it was a life full of love, warmth, and happiness. I might have been impulsive, but I was also always very organised and structured. It wasn't chaotic impulsive. It was life-affirming impulsive. In England, I found my voice. Literally. I found it in a language that wasn't mine by birth, and I became a writer. I was older, but still not wiser. One might ask, surely there are better paid jobs. Yes, but none that I love so much. Most days my job doesn't feel like work. It's what I want to do. Every single day of my life. I write. I tell stories. I try to make sense of the past so that I can learn something about the present. I am lucky, incredibly lucky. It could have all gone horribly wrong. But it didn't. Until now, I have had the privilege of having lived my life. I'm also very aware that it might not always remain like this. There have been times when my ferocious appetite for independence became egotistical. I'm sure my daughter would have preferred not to move as frequently as we did. But despite these upheavals, she turned out to be a beautiful human being, and I became an adult as I grew up with her. That little girl grounded me and anchored my determination to be free into something bigger, to be a good person. She enabled me to find a balance between being free-spirited and being responsible. We live in a world in which we tiptoe along a thin line between free will and selfishness, between self-determination and narcissism, between empathy and righteousness. Underpinning everything are two crucial questions. Who am I as an individual, and who am I as a member of a group and society? I live in London, a big, dirty metropolis full of people, where every morning hundreds of thousands of commuters pile into the tube to travel to their workplaces. As they push against each other in this great human wave, they share a physical space, but they're also each in their own world. They stare at their small flickering screens, reading emails, checking social media accounts, playing games, or scrolling through photos. It's a city where in front of Big Ben or St. Paul's Cathedral, tourists hustle for the best spot to take the perfect selfie. But it's also a city where people risk their lives helping others in stabbings or terrorist attacks, and where people look after their neighbours. We've entered into a social contract with those who govern us. We've accepted the laws that frame the society in which we live, though not in perpetuity. They are negotiable. Laws can be revised or changed in order to adapt to new circumstances. But are there moments when I as an individual, or we as a society, can protest or even violate these laws? Mostly these changes happen gradually. They are discussed, voted on, and then implemented. And though often riddled with setbacks, frustrations, and injustice, the legal scaffold is nonetheless an essential part of our democratic relationship with the state and with one another. Sometimes the changes are more radical, or only temporary. Take the global pandemic, for example, when millions of us voluntarily surrendered our basic rights and liberties for the greater good. For months we didn't see our friends and families, and followed draconian rules because we believed it was the morally right thing to do. Others didn't. They simply refused to obey these restrictions, insisting that their individual liberties were more important. For most of my adult life, I've been trying to understand why we are who we are. This is the reason why I write history books. In my previous books, I've looked at the relationship between humankind and nature, in order to understand why we've destroyed so much of our magnificent blue planet. But I also realise that it's not enough to look at the connections between us and nature. The first step is to look at us as individuals. When did we begin to be as selfish as we are today? At what point did we expect to have the right to determine our own lives? When did we think it was our right to take what we wanted? Where did this us, you, me, or our collective behaviour all come from? When did we first ask...